Howdy folks, and welcome to another 3-minute breakdown. In today's Behemoth Typhoon, we will be covering Goldlewis Dickinson, the Secretary of Absolute Typhoon. We will be discussing his basic game plan, his strengths and weaknesses, and what you want to be doing with him to keep the Behemoth Typhoons rolling. Goldlewis is a juggernaut who is going to need to use his health bar as a resource to assert his absolute dominance and show everybody he is the sheriff in town, just like his burger sheriff brother. He doesn't have the worst mobility, but you'll have to rely on brute force with his big normals and his unique special move Behemoth Typhoon. This special move uses a half circle input in any direction to make Goldlewis swing his coffin, with the held final cardinal direction input determining the radius of his giant swinging coffin. This move has options for almost every situation, with some being plus on block, making this his tool of choice if you have just enough time for his slower startup. The real nail in Goldlewis's coffin that makes him a less than optimal pick in game currently is his defense, with many of his defensive tools and set play tools feeling clunky or difficult to properly utilize. We will get into this later though. First, let's talk about his strengths. Goldlewis's biggest strength comes from his oppressive offense once he can get started. On knockdown, you can start your set play with Firebird giving you mix-ups and a forced block, or you can use aerial approaches like Jump Dust or Jump 2H. Another strength of his is that he is always getting damage even on block. An offense built around Behemoth Typhoon makes your opponent pay a resource toll every time they block. Goldlewis also has a reversal overdrive in Down with the System, a move that gets stronger with more full circle inputs performed before the overdrive. This super is a fantastic option for surprising your opponent and getting your turn back, although it's not always as safe as you think. Now to cover his weaknesses, some of which make him a tough pick for a beginner. He is slow and big, making him easy to mix up and easy to keep pressure on. Once this pressure is applied to Goldlewis, his best options are 2P and 6P, both of which take some practice to learn their unique hitboxes. Some of his biggest weaknesses at a lower level come in his slow startups on Skyfish and Thunderbird, and these moves, along with his set play overdrive Burn It Down, take a lot of learning and practice to be able to get used to them. Finally, the need for holding the last input on Behemoth Typhoon can make the character a lot harder to execute in the heat of the moment, and failing an input usually leaves you wide open for a counter. You are likely to be your own worst enemy while learning Goldlewis, so be patient and remember that learning this character can feel like using a different controller. You want to be the one choosing the speed of the game if at all possible. Goldlewis does best when he gets to control a set. Get on top of them fast with Jump Dust, 2H, or an aerial Behemoth Typhoon and start to establish dominance. You can mix up pressure with 2P into a Typhoon or 5K into 2D, with your goal being a knockdown. Once you get the knockdown, try to never let up. His oppressive offense with Typhoon's guard crushing is key to his success. Use level 2 or 3 drone after hard knockdowns, with this being better in neutral than in corner, and on defense, try to read them and learn when you need to 6P an aerial attack, take your turn back with 2P, or block it out and use the game's defensive mechanics. He has a tough learning curve you would expect a big brawler to have in a game full of rushdown characters, but the satisfaction of crushing someone with a giant alien stuffed coffin is unmatched. He is a super fun character if you like that Timmy hit big vibe, but he really suffers in this sort of rushdown and pressure heavy game when his tools for defense are hard to learn and feel minimal. For a more in-depth analysis of this character, check out my video breaking down his viability as a pick in this game. If you can keep yourself always swinging against your opponent, and you will be saying it's not a big deal to his shortcomings. I hope you enjoyed this gameplay breakdown of Goldlewis Dickinson. Subscribe and leave a comment down below if this helped you get started with the Behemoth Typhoon, and as always, stay groovy.